Okay, I'm gonna do this.
Era,
Yeah. Tizi.
ciao.
All right. Ciao. Buongiorno.
Thank you. Buongiorno to me.
So,
Buonasera to you.
yeah. Right. So it's actually the very first time I'm on a podcast in the bed wearing pajama and no makeup on, looking like a hot mess. This is my first, potentially last time I'm looking like this.
It's
But hey, that's
okay.
what you get for booking so late. That's what you get. You can't have it all in life, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Ay, ay, ay. So tell me about you, Titi. What do you do? Who are you? What's your essence? What you made of? Tell me everything.
What I'm made of?
Damn.
A lot of dust and sparkles. A lot of sparkles. A lot of
Yeah.
lot of mess. So what I do these days I occupy myself with a lot of curiosity through systemic therapy and family
Oh,
constellation.
oh my gosh. Okay, that sounds intense.
I used to be a professional kickboxer, and in 2016, I had a big call to reset my life as I went down a very troubled path in my teenagers and growing up.
Hmm.
Then eventually, I moved to Australia. In Australia, I started to I kept fighting as I was doing in Italy in terms of kickboxing. And eventually, I became a personal trainer of rich and famous people in Sydney. And then in 2016, something really called me to explore something greater, a little bit
Hmm.
more, less dense, less matter, more within. And that's when I discovered family constellation and systemic therapy. So I completely devoted my life to it since, and eventually in 2019, I made it my full time passion, job, income, life experience, and I preach it all around the world, working with
Yeah.
thousands of people, almost millions now, and traveling around the world. And my dream came true. I was right.
Wow. So what exactly happened in 2016 that made you have this change of heart?
At the beginning, I met a woman, a girl we went in a relationship with, and we started to explore more about ourselves within. It was a path of self development.
Mm.
Eventually, what really kicked in, Catalina, was a moment in my life when one of my company went in big debt. So I actually went down 120, 130,000 euro debt with
Oh,
this company.
shoot.
And
Mm.
because my life has been a lot of upside down, like extreme experience from stabbing, jail, kickboxing path, and then eventually depression, and then eventually big debt. One of my mates at the time told me there might be something you want to explore within. It might not be all of yours. You might carry something from your family of origin, your system of belonging.
Mm.
So my curiosity, I'm Sagittarius, double Sagittarius. So I'm very curious.
That's
You
good.
tell me something, I believe it. Whatever you tell me, I trust. I have a lot of trust in life. So what I did at the time, I was like, okay, what is this about? So he told me a little bit what it was about, and then eventually gave me the contact of somebody who was doing this systemic therapy and family constellation. I went
Hmm.
to do that experience, and that changed my life forever.
I see. So you said you went to jail. I hope in Italy and not in Australia, because pretty boy like you in Australian jails. Oh,
In Italy, yes.
ay, ay, ay. You've been through some stuff.
I've been through a lot of stuff, a lot. Like I always say, like my life's experience is like a Netflix movie, and I'm confident it will be very soon.
Oh my goodness.
What about
Yeah. Well, I'm an actress, by the way, if you need to.
there you go. Not a case we connected. So
Right? Yeah. So, wow, that's wild. So, where are you from in Italy?
I'm from Savona, which is north west Liguria. It's close to Cinque Terre.
Oh my gosh, lucky you. How the heck you gonna go from Cinque Terre to Australia? Why would you even go to Australia from
Um,
Cinque Terre?
I had a very rough experience between my 21 to 25th birthday, let's say 21, 25 years old. I went into a big depression. So I needed a time, I
Mm.
needed something to escape the reality that I was living, which was borderline criminality, not doing nothing. So I decided eventually to move to Australia because I watched a movie with one of my best mates that one of the actor was from New Zealand, and
Mm.
eventually talking into the living room and this and that, and he was like, "Oh, let's have an experience, let's go," and let's go. We went. 1 year and a half,
Wow.
I came back.
So so wild. That's very, very fascinating life that you've had.
I did.
Pretty much experience everything. Well, how would you describe like depression? How did you feel it?
Well, at the time, obviously, Catalina, I had a different consciousness, so I was not even aware I had depression. I was taking benzodiazepine just to calm my body down. Eventually, I went into this big path of benzodiazepine just to freeze my, like, I would say, to don't feel. Okay, just the opposite of what I'm doing now, because now I know the reason for it. Eventually, over the years and through systemic therapy, what I do, I understood that depression is an interrupted movement with the mother in young ages. So, generally, a child, when there is a separation from the mother in young
Mm.
ages, eventually go down in life when they actually repair this separation and they go through the process of restoring that flow of love, they go through depression. And that's what happened to me at the time. I knew nothing at the time. Catalina was really very much into matter, criminality, this kind of thing. So, benzodiazepine was a way to silence my pain.
Oh my gosh. So you're saying that the mother, you and your mom were separated, and that's what caused you to have that. It was like a little bit of a trauma somewhere.
It wasn't directly related to my mother. It was more embodied from my grandmother. So it was something that I came from my
Oh.
father's side. That's what I've acknowledged over the years through systemic therapy and family constellation. But eventually, yes, that it was the reason for it. My
Oh.
dad had that separation. I had that separation, and
Oh.
that was pretty traumatic, and eventually
Yeah.
got me where I am. So I'm actually grateful even to that.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, even like all the trauma and all that stuff was worth it because it brought you all that wisdom that you have now. What about your childhood? How were you? Were you like a good kid? Were you a trouble? How were
Um,
you?
Between 0 to 7, my life was pretty plain. Everything went really, really well because my parents were together. We were living in my grandmother' house from my father's side. Eventually, at 7 years old, my parents split. They got through a divorce and there was violence involved, a very violent divorce. So that was really
Oof.
traumatic to me, but eventually
Yeah.
set me up to the healing that I'm bringing into the world. So to these days, after I have embodied my parents in full, I've taken them in full, and what happened to us as family, I'm really grateful to it. So, at the time, obviously, you need to go through darkness, and darkness, I would say contraction. I call it contraction. Life
Hmm.
moves through contraction and expansion. So you must contract in order to expand. Moves like a
Hmm.
jellyfish. So I contracted the time. Eventually, I expanded long after, and now that's the healing that I'm bringing. So I'm grateful to it.
Wow. You do talk a lot about childhood and the importance of having good partners in your life. And I'm gonna quote you. Let's see if I, because I have the quote somewhere. Oh, let me read it.
I
So you said,
this.
yeah, I found it. A man who is powerful is close to his father. So what happens if a man grows up without a father, or does that mean he can't be powerful? Or what happens if he grows up with two father figures? Would he be even more powerful?
There are a few different answers to this, and I'm gonna be specific in that. A man
Yes.
who is close to his father, and when I say close, Catalina, I don't mean physically close, but close to heart,
Hmm.
is a
Hmm.
man who is in his purpose, in his manhood, is an adult man, is a man who has a good expression, good speech in front of people, for example, a man who is in purpose, so he does what he's meant to do in his life. He has direction, he set up a path. I do something and he does that. Okay, so someone who calls something out and he can do that. A man who is close to his father is an adult man, is solid, is a man close to the project of life. The
Hmm.
father represents the project of life. So this in relationship, work experiences, and all everything around it. Although when someone grows up without a father, we leave Catalina in a field of existence who is informed. It's called morphogenetic field. So it's a field of information. So when somebody grows up without a father, the archetypes of the man and as a father, they are in the field. What does that mean? It means
Mm.
that Tiziano, that his father disappeared when he was around 13, he found father figures in his life. Wow. Why? Because life supports the evolution of the soul. So my first father figure, for example, who was? He was the criminal down the area. Why? Because I related the love to respect. So these people are bashing others, drug dealing. Everybody respect them. So if I want to be loved, if I want to be respected, I must be as they doing. So I found the leader of the area as the father figure, the archetype of the man. Because the man seeks leadership in his father. Couldn't find my father, I found the leader in the area. Eventually, love always moved towards the better. So the more I grew up and the more I changed my leadership more into an harmonious experience. After criminality, there was kickboxing, there was the coach at school, there was, for example, eventually the businessman. So the more we evolve and the more life bring us the piece of the puzzle that we are missing. That's how the soul evolves.
Wow. Do you think maybe you started getting better at finding these father figures because you somehow were more forgiving? So the more you healed, the better you attracted?
I don't call forgiveness. In systemic therapy, we don't use that kind of word, and I shall explain why. But love
Hmm.
always moves towards the better, Catalina. What means the better? It moves towards harmony. So if something is separated, love seeks to reunite that which has been separated. So if I have an experience of life which is disharmonious because of the separation with my father, life keep seeking to bring me close to the harmonious father figure, which eventually became my father in full. But I always move towards harmony and wholeness. Criminality, eventually kickboxing. That's already better. From kickboxing, businessman. So the businessman, because life brought me where I was meant to go. Okay, life. I
Mhm.
always say, Catalina, this, and people are very skeptical when I say this. Human experience, human free will is extremely limited. We are constantly guided by this inner force, this morphogenetic field within, which we would call the soul. Some people call it God, some people call it morphogenetic field, some people call it love, but eventually it's the same force. And it moves in only one direction, to reunite that which has been separated.
My face dropped. Okay. Let me put it back.
Intense. Systemic therapy, it's just a
I
science.
love it.
Yeah, it's just a science.
So why, yeah, but why don't you believe in forgiveness? This is
Uh,
interesting.
it's not about believing in forgiveness. I have observed the effect of forgiveness. I'm gonna give you an example. When
Okay.
somebody forgive another person, they take away their dignity and destiny. They place themselves above this somebody because they have the power of forgiveness. Rather than forgiving, I accept what it is. So I leave the consequences of somebody's action with them. So they are able to grow and they are able to face guilt. They are able to expand their soul. And this is more harmonious because we are more equal. So I don't step myself above by forgiving, but actually I accept what is. I leave you with the consequences of your actions. So the other person can face their consequences, the consequence of their action, and they can grow out of that. And we are equal with that. Rather than forgiving, where I step myself above, I place myself into this higher intelligence. I have the power of forgiveness. No, 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 I can't do that. I remain equal and the relationship unfolds better.
So, which is very interesting because, yes, I really appreciate a person that has the depth to comprehend that forgiveness could be somehow, like you described, part of ego, right?
Yeah.
I, but if you look from a Christian standpoint, Jesus said, "Forgive them, Lord, for they don't know what they're doing," and we're supposed to leave like Jesus. So if Jesus is teaching us to forgive, does that mean we're still proud whenever we forgive? Is that still a sin? I mean, is it?
If I look at life from the point of attention of Jesus, which you look at religion, but I could look it at a soul. Let's say that Jesus embracing a soul experience and he says to others, forgive others. By
Mhm.
forgiving, I place myself above into the place of a leadership, into the place of preaching what I'm saying. Like, oh, I forgive you, Catalina, for your action, but who am I to forgive you? Rather than saying this, I say, Catalina, I leave you with the consequences of your actions. So you face what is, and from that point of view, you can grow. The relationship can restart. My way of seeing forgiveness is not about denying forgiveness, but it's actually about maintaining an healthy relationship. If I want to maintain an healthy relationship with you, Catalina, I cannot place myself above and atone your sin because you will always feel guilty in relationship to me and we will never be equal. But if I want to place myself as equal as you, I leave you with the consequence of your action. And from that, you can do something good about it. It's on you. I don't place myself above and I do not atone the consequence of your actions and so your destiny. I don't diminish you.
Yeah, so in a way, this does make sense. But if I think about like my relationship with my dad, right, was basically a shit show. So it was pretty bad. Had just the worst you can think of. But in my heart, I forgave him. And yeah, you can think of me like, wow, she thinks she's all that. She forgave the father. But if I were to just kind of disregard and think about, okay, oh, he's just, I'm just going to leave him with his consequences. I'm just going to move on. And then I feel like somehow I would still kind of expect some apology. But when I tell myself I forgive him, I don't even expect any apology. I'm like so over it. I'm so done. I'm moved on. He can do whatever the heck he wants. So it's kind of like, what is it healthier? For me, I feel like whenever you forgive someone, it's a lot healthier because you don't expect, you don't want more from that person.
If I forgive my parents, Catalina, I
Oh.
curse myself. And I tell you the reason. My parents are too big hierarchically for me to forgive them. If I forgive them, I place myself in between the life force in my family system. I place myself above my parents. And I go through a conflict of devaluation. I devaluate myself by placing myself above them. But the worst experience in that is that I cannot take them in full. If I forgive my mother or my father, I cannot take them in full and I'll always be attached to them. I will be unable to detach because I've not taken them in full. From the moment that rather than
Hmm.
forgiving, I accept what is, I accept the part of me who is my father, which is my father. And at that stage, I can take my father in full. I can take my mother in full. By taking them in full, I can detach and do something different. If I do not take them in full, I'm unable to detach, and most of the time, I do the same experience under a different lens.
What did your mom do that you have to do all that? What did she do?
What do you mean with that?
You
What do
said I
you
have to take her in full.
taking a person in full is simply accept that person as they are. If I wanna take my partner in full, I must accept my partner just as he is or just as she is. By doing so, I take them in full. If I do not accept part of my partner or part of my mother or part of my father, I'm unable to take them in full. I don't see them in full. So I take them
Hmm.
partly, also because I take partly myself. There is this understanding,
Hmm.
Catalina, that people really don't grasp it in full, but it's easy. I am half of my mother and half of my father. If I take only my mother, I'm half a person. If I take only my father, I'm half a person. When I take them in full, I'm the wholeness, I'm the full person.
I love it. That's awesome. That was brilliant. Wow. It's
Appreciate
so, yes, that's so freaking awesome. What about this that you said? And I quote you.
Please,
A
please.
woman who is, yes, a woman who is distant from her mother will embody more masculinity. Dang.
Well, again, it is very straightforward to explain, Catalina. If a woman is distant from her mother, she's distant from her femininity. A woman takes the feminine from her mother. And of course, by being distant from her mother, she embodies more of her father most of the time for safety, most of the time. And this is what psychology calls narcissism. Narcissism is a woman in the sphere of influence of her father, a man in the sphere of influence of his mother. So they take value externally, they take value from the opposite sex, from the eyes of the opposite sex. But when a woman embody her mother and when a man embody his father, they take the value within from the same sex parent, and this is called adulthood. Psychology make it very difficult and it calls narcissism and this, but from a systemic point of view, it's very simple, Katerina. That's how I explain.
Yeah, you explained it very well. I don't know because I feel like I have a lot of masculinity, but I am really close with my mother. We're like BFFs, best friends. But I've always had that, mm, I've always been the protector. She's always been like my child. I have to, I've been taking care of her for many years and she, supporting financially and all that. I'm really masculine, I think. But
Well, in your explanation, you gave to yourself an answer. So, if you protected your mother, you place equal to your mother or above. So, you cannot take your mother in full. In order for you to take your mother, you must place yourself below, becoming her daughter. So, when you place order and you become her daughter, then you can take her in full. But if you take care of your mother, or if you mother your mother, as you said, you place yourself above. And obviously, in order for you to place yourself above, you place yourself in a position of authority. So you become more masculine. Most of the time,
yeah.
Catalina, in my observation, are women who enter relationship with little boys that they can mother, or children, or men that they are not adult. Yeah.
So basically, women like me like younger people because I have daddy issues or mommy issues.
Well, it doesn't have to be necessarily younger, Catalina. It can be the same age, but it can be that
But
we
immature.
evolve exactly immature. So you would call mommy boy. You would call this a mommy boy.
A mommy boy. Would this guy be so he's a mommy's boy, huh?
There you go. Yeah, it's like a
Well,
little.
how would you how would you call a guy that likes to be called daddy?
Well, I would I call a guy is somebody who is fathering you, somebody who knows that is fathering you, calling me daddy. He's fathering you. So yeah.
So do you think he has daddy issues or mommy issues?
Well, somebody who places himself in a position of a father towards a woman is definitely somebody who has an interrupted movement with his mother. So in his case, we need to look towards his mother's side. In your case, towards your father's side, because you substitute your father with your partner, and he substitute his mother with his partner.
Oh my goodness. Some psychology. Yes. What about this one? When you force something and it doesn't click, let it go. It must shift energetically first. I love this, and I think it's so true.
Uh,
Um,
this is
hmm.
this is this is again a pretty straightforward. We are energetic being, and this is not because
Yeah.
Tiziano said it or Bert Hellinger said it. It's more like because quantum physics said it. So science now actually evolves and moves into more of what we would call the spirit energy. We are 99.9% energy. So before making expression into matter, we need to change from a code level, an energetic level. So if
Hmm.
something in the field is not moving, it cannot move in reality, in what we call matter. If it moves into the morphogenetic field, if it change energetically, then it manifests in reality. This is when people try to make million calls, they are on the laptop, try to book that appointment, and that appointment doesn't arrive. Why? It does not arrive because it did not change on an energetic level. When it change on an energetic
Mm.
level, it click immediately on in reality, and it doesn't have to be also a struggle. It goes harmoniously. Simple.
Right. But could it be that maybe I'm out here with a drink? Oh my gosh. Could it be that maybe, I don't know, maybe she has a bad day and she's just, or maybe she has a migraine, maybe she's just shy. Do you just like, if that first date didn't work out, do you just kind of throw the deuces? That's, it wasn't meant to be?
In which area you mean that, in relationship or generally in life? In relationship.
Yeah, in a relationship.
Oh well, when you click with somebody, you click. So when you click with somebody, you feel peace. Generally speaking, if I am in a relationship, if I'm meeting you for a date, if I feel peace to a soul level, if I feel harmonious and the soul are talking, that I'm experiencing what we would call in human form desire. So if I have desire for you, means that there is a path of evolution through you, and if you have desire for me, there is a path of evolution through me. If I miss desire, that means that something is not clicking, because you are not good for my own evolution and I'm not good for your own evolution. So better we step apart, because love eventually, Catalina, I know we call it, oh, that guy is really hot, that girl is really hot, but eventually to an energetic level we seek evolution. So it doesn't matter if you're really hot or not, because what your soul seeks is evolution. So the partner who you are feeling and experiencing as really hot is because he has something for you to make you evolve. That's the reality of things.
Mm. You think that's do you believe in for like a marriage that it lasts a whole lifetime, or do you think the soul always wants? Oh
Well,
yeah.
the soul seeks evolution. Eventually, you can find a person where the evolution is set on the same energetic level, and you can grow together. And that's eventually the highest form of marriage, a path where we can grow together. I'm giving you, Catalina, a little systemic explanation, but I know you will enjoy this. When a man take a woman, he becomes more man. When a woman takes a man, she becomes more woman. What does it mean? It means that the more a man take a woman, and the more he let go of his own femininity, and the more a woman takes a man, and the more she let go of her own masculinity, her father within, and his mother within. And the more this process is unfolding through evolution, and the more they get back together, they get together and they become wholeness together. But if a woman embody masculinity and the man embody femininity, because there are some sort of interrupted movement with the family of origin, they cannot keep growing together. The evolution is stopped somewhere and eventually they might separate.
Interesting. Oh my goodness, you're good at this. You have so many gems. It's like dropping them.
Appreciate you, Catalina. I just love what I do. It's like my life purpose. I'm devoted to it, and I aim to bring it to worldwide eyes, and that's what I'm doing. Yeah,
Yeah. So one thing I want to know, because you are very experienced, I'm assuming you're not single, but you can still give me
I
this
am single. I'm single.
okay, then even better.
I am
Then you
single.
can give me this advice. How to get any man you want? Because in this day and age, you have these single women just they are fishing for men, so they basically cast a wide net and settle with whatever they catch instead of going there to hunt. I think a woman should hunt, should be like, this is what I want, this is what I can put up with, target that person, go after him, and that's the one. Don't go out there to talk to 100 people. Just that nonsense. Too many distractions. What do you think is the right way? How do you get the men you want?
I wouldn't say what I think. I would say what I
Oh,
observed. What I've observed over the year, it is better if the man is hunting and the woman is embodying enough value to be the one who the man wants to hunt. So the more the woman, as well as the man, the more the woman steps into a place of healing, the more she evolves within, the more she embodies her father's value as well as her mother's value, and the more she becomes suitable for the project of life. So naturally, a man is attracted to somebody who can give to him the project of life, and the project of life is family. The biology of nature tells us that a man seeks somebody who he can settle with and he can pursue the project of life. He can place himself in service to her and serving life. So that's the most harmonious unfolding. And of course, a woman, if she wants to be with what biologically we would call the alpha, she needs to embody those traits and embody her value and healing herself, getting close to her mother. Her mother sets her up for a relationship. Whatever a relationship is harmonious with her mother, she set her up for an healthy relationship. If her relationship with her mother is not as healthy, she set her up for an unhealthy relationship. So it's up to her to heal her relationship with her mother.
dang. My God. Just, my goodness. I knew this was going to be good, but dang. you
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Wow. So you got to move to America. Like,
I
we need
gotta move.
people
And
like you
maybe
out
one
here.
day. At the moment, I'm happy in Australia. I just apply my permanent residency. About to, about to get a permanent residency. I want to buy a house this year, so I move it in the step.
Oh, freaking A.
But we'll
Back to
see.
Australia?
See, let's see. I never close doors.
Yeah.
I mean, I always keep doors open. Yeah.
Ye- That's smart. So how is describe your ideal woman?
My ideal woman. Okay, so value side must be somebody
Mhm.
who acknowledge the service that I'm giving to the world. It is important for me that she's a woman that acknowledge what I do and value what I do. If she's a woman that doesn't value my service to the world, it's a kind of a big no-no for me. It is important to have that because my purpose is important. The second important value is that she holds the value of my mother eventually, because those are the traits that I grew up with. And when I look at my mother, I look eventually at the value that I want to see in another woman. And that's pretty much everyone, particularly when you have an healthy relationship with my mother. And I have a very healthy relationship with my mother. The third one is that she's willing to evolve together. So I want somebody who is courageous enough that she wants to evolve with me. And I have big dream, and I always pursue my dream, but majorly I always manifest my dream. So I want somebody who is a dreamer, maybe a little bit more grounded than me, like my mother, for example. My mother is a little bit more on the earth. I'm a little bit more into the sky. Maybe I shoot for the moon and she wanna settle for the star, and that's good because we shoot together and she bring me balance. But somebody who is negative, somebody who look at life with negativity, that's big no-no for me because I'm a big dreamer. I take this, I take everything from life, and I want to make it the biggest success of life, of my life. So of life, my life. So I really shoot big, and I want somebody who believes in me and who believes in that.
That's fair. You don't want very much. I think that's you're very modest.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not asking crazy things.
I and then obviously somebody who believes in me. No, like it's important for me to have somebody who believes in what I do. I always had women that they've done that. They really believed in me, and I always done what I said I would have done. So I have very much that power and willingness within me. If I say something, say, "Hey, babe, we're gonna be millionaire by this, we're gonna be millionaire." There's no middle way for me. Like I say something, I'll do it. But when I have a woman by my side that believes in me, that's double power for me.
Yes, I think so too. Obviously, going together,
That's
that's
right.
double the yeah. What is success to you? How do you describe that?
I would call it fulfillment. When you are
Hmm.
feeling fulfilled within, that is success for me. The majority of people are bypassing this simple concept, but fulfilling, Catalina, is service. The more I serve others, the more I serve the world, and the more I feel fulfilled. It doesn't matter to me that I come back to Italy and I go out with my mother and somebody stop me. Hey, that's you, Tiziano, Family Constellation. Why I have a picture? That's give me a lot of ego value because my mother is with me and she's happy about it. But what actually is giving me to a soul level is, oh, I have done something for that person. I have served that person enough that she's or is inspired by me. That is fulfillment. That is success when you can serve others, Catalina. That's what we're doing now, you and I, with this conversation. We are serving others by this knowledge, by you hosting the space. So that's service, that's fulfilling, that's success.
I love it. How much do you think our perception shapes our reality? And can two people ever truly share the same reality?
Well, the closer they are to perceive the same reality and the easier the relationship unfold, even if the best partner for you is the one that is completely opposite than you. Why? Because it's the one that allows you to evolve the most. What people perceive as the best partner is the one who is most similar to them, and actually that's their best friend, is not their best partner. The one who is most similar to you is your best friend. But the one who is completely opposite than you, the one who charges you the most, the one you have to go through the majority, the major evolution, that's your best partner because allows you to evolve the most. But
Interesting.
in terms of a perception, of course, if somebody perceive life, life is shit, life is this, life in that, life gives to them what they want to see. Ask and it shall be given. No, that's the Bible. Ask, it shall be given.
Mhm.
So if you ask for a horrible life, it shall be given, mate. But if you ask for a successful life, a life of abundance, a life of joy, a life of embodiment, a life of service, life tells you, yes, mate, that's for you. The only difference between the two is courage. People who settle for an average life, they don't require a lot of courage. But people who actually are strive for more, they face more guilt, they take more from life, and they require more courage.
Dang. That hit deep. That hit deep. Oh God. Deep. Wow. Huh. What's your greatest fear?
My greatest fear is to do not be. My greatest fear is to don't serve, to not be seen, to pass this life not acknowledged and not living nothing. into this world, living this life that I meant. I didn't serve anybody. I meant nothing. But for me, what is important is to leave something behind, is to serve millions and millions of people. And my greatest fear is
Mm.
not doing so. That's my greatest fear.
Wow. So just be insignificant and just kind of
I don't
just
want to say
leave.
it's insignificant, but my greatest fear is to be somebody who just live and don't leave something behind that lasts
No legacy.
an impact. Okay, I want to make an
Mm.
impact. My greatest fear is to do not make an impact.
Wow. I like that you have so much depth. Good thing you didn't ask me that question.
They asked me that
I
many
mean,
times, Catalina. At the end of the day, I'm kind of I have all of these things within me, and I just repeat them because they ask me many many times. So
yeah. Oh my gosh. I thought I was asking different questions. I guess
no,
not.
some of them they were, but this one, what is your greatest fear, is common. And I had to think within me, what is my greatest fear? So my greatest fear is, it's also a part of my, it could be like the narcissistic trait. I like to be seen by my mother, and I serve millions of women. I like to be seen by women. And people take these traits like, oh, that's bad. Not really, because it's my service to the world. And out of that, I serve millions of women around the world, millions literally. If you come to my workshop, you see already in the videos that there are 50 people in, 49 are women. There are 80 people in, 70.
Yes.
There are 20 people in, 19 are women. That means that is my service to the world. Yeah.
Maybe also means that some women are trying to get them something.
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to get-
I always say, Catalina, like there is the physical attraction of the aesthetic things, but
yeah.
eventually we are energetic beings. So it's very much not much about your how you look, but how you are perceived. This is different. How you are perceived. Somebody can look stunning, amazingly, but they perceive not magnetic, not vibing. They perceive shut down,
Mhm.
and yeah, you look it. Yeah, it looks good. She looks good, but she's not vibing. So you know,
She's not vibing. Oh my gosh. Actually, I gotta tell you, I met with the so this is all happening thanks to Marina, right? Because otherwise I would have never seen. And
that's right.
so I met her the other day. I met her I was in LA last weekend and we linked up. I was not vibing. I had the worst migraine. I was nauseous the whole time and I was like this, like a zombie. And we were talking, but I could barely come up with any sentence. Like my brain couldn't even, like, it was bad. It was so bad. But she was so sweet and she was just lifting me up and she had all the vibing for both of us. She was amazing. Yeah, you could, maybe some women could not vibe because they're not feeling well.
It is, Marina, but it's also important to respect your own self. If you don't feel something, you say to that person that day, for example, I don't feel it today. Can we move in 2 days, in 3 days, or another hour? That is a guilt you are paying. Some people say what they say yes to things because they are unable to face guilt and say, hey, I can't do this. Can we do another day?
Yeah.
Guilt means, would you love me still if I change the date, for example? That's guilt. Would you still love me, Catalina, if I changed this interview for 3 times? Eventually, it came to reality. And that's facing guilt. I face guilt with you. I ask you for more. So I say, Catalina, I can't make this day. Can we do this other day? I can't make this day. Can we do the other day? That is facing guilt. Ask for more. Easy.
Right, right, right. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. If you have a bad day like I did, just postpone it.
Only,
But
that's
the
right.
thing is, I was flying out the next day. That was the only time. I'm like, I'm gonna muscle this out. But in hindsight, you're right. Postpone when you're not feeling well, because you're gonna just make a bad first impression. You're out there looking deadly.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, thanks to her, we met. So, what are your like tips for people that have gone that had childhood trauma? How can they how can they heal? What is
So
your recipe for that.
the first tip is don't look at your parents, look at yourself. Look at yourself
Mm.
means do not go and point your finger to your parents or the school teacher or the criminal in the area, but actually look within you what your parents, the criminal in the area, and the school teacher meant at the time, and go and to heal. Go to a therapist, go and step courageously towards therapy, towards somebody who has something for you. When you need somebody who has something for you, when you need somebody, life always bring this somebody into your life that you can take something from them eventually. There is an exchange of money, of course, there is an exchange of currency, but go to somebody that has something for you, and you feel it, and you feel it when somebody has something for you. Do not hesitate, oh, it's too expensive, it's this and that, because that is an investment of return of 100 times. Like for me, I've invested and I still thousands and thousands of dollars and euro in therapy, and I still, despite I serve millions of people now and thousands around the world, but I still go to therapy perhaps every month, every 2 weeks, sometimes even 4 times a month because I'm going through a big breakup. Whatever it is, I have the courage and the humbleness to acknowledge what is. Acknowledge what is I need help. So I go to therapy. That's the first tip.
Wow. So therapy, huh? A shrink.
That's right. Like go to somebody who has something for you, something that can improve you as a persona. The more you improve as a
Mm.
persona, and the more you improve your reality. So it's actually an inner work. It's a self-inquiry. Don't look externally and get distracted by self-inquiry. Self-inquiry. Look within. Easy.
Wow. Huh. Yeah, I've never been to a shrink. I was contemplating going this year. Going through some, I think it's midlife crisis.
Not actually about a shrink, Catalina. It's more about you can go privately to a therapist, to some family constellation, for example, Reiki, whatever you feel, any form of love in any kind of density. Could be spiritual, it could be psychology, more mental, it could be even the doctor is therapy because the doctor is something more matter on the body, but to somebody who can give you something, who can improve you as a person. That's the best investment you can do in life. Better than a big house, a big this. Invest in yourself. That's a big up for me.
Yeah, I agree. Usually we go, because I'm Christian Orthodox, so usually we go to the church, to the priest, and do the
Nice.
confession. So that's,
Whatever
but
feels right for you, Catalina. Whatever feels right.
yeah, what about like, what advice would you give women that go through midlife crisis?
Why do they feel not fulfilled? Where is the interrupted movement into their life experience? And most of the time, the middle life crisis is about their femininity. They have not embodied their mother in full, perhaps because they did not leave their father. So when they leave the sphere of influence of the father and they restore love and harmony there, they can fully move into their mother. That's a very important piece of the puzzle. Excuse me one sec.
Yeah, yeah,
Mamma,
yeah.
mamma, can you please close the door? Puoi chiudere la porta che c'è rumore? Grazie. Sorry guys, a bit of noise. I like to close the door. Mamma, if she could please close the door, please.
Oh, yes. Oh, so Italian men love their moms. That's like the most, like one of the common things, the stereotypical, right? It's like, how is that possible? Like in Italy, I've never met a guy that didn't love their mom in Italy, and I lived there
Well,
for a long time.
it's a double-edged sword because it's also coming from a place of too much mommy boy, and we also love our father. So obviously, the Italian mother they very devoted to help the growth of particularly the male in the system. I'm the only child. My mom's adore me, but sometimes they place too much expectation on them because on us because they have some interrupted movement with their parents, particularly their father. So they place a lot of that burden into us and they devote their life to their children. But there is a sort of parentification, an opposite experience. So rather than giving to us, they take from us unconsciously. So we become almost a couple, and between me and my mother happened years ago. Now, because I worked a lot within, and through obviously my parents' gift and support, I was able to restore order and their life experience too.
That is awesome. So both my I have a sister. She's married to an Italian guy living in Milan. And then my adopted sister is married to an Italian guy. Also, I'm the
Beautiful.
only one
You have
that's.
all Italians around you. That's why you're getting a cold.
I know. Like, what the heck? Yeah, it's a lot I have a lot of Italian in my family.
I have no doubt.
Yeah, that.
How Italian.
Yes. But I can cook a lot of Italian food. That's at least that, you know. That is my that's what I do. But yeah, Tizi, I know it's already 1 hour, so I don't want to hold you up. I'm so thankful, so much to learn from you. I feel like this was like the quickest, the shortest, even though it was an hour, but it went by so fast. It's crazy.
Appreciate you,
Wow.
Catalina. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to share this message into the world, and
Thank
I want
you.
to
No,
fulfill my
thank
purpose.
you. Yes, thank you so much, DT. You have a wonderful day, and we'll keep in touch. And I'll send you the file once it's edited.
Thank you so much, Catalina.
Grazie
Lasciami avere
mille.